Coming up on OTH, Raymond and I talk about our favorite changes from patch 11.14 before discussing the very contentious CLG behind the scenes video. After we talk about roster changes, we talk about league content from the previous week before jumping into week 6 of the summer split. We hope you enjoy episode 21 of On the Hunt. Welcome, everybody, to episode 21 of On the Hunt, a League of Legends podcast. I'm your co-host, Chris, aka the single-minded gamer. Because anytime I get into something, dude, I can only play that one game. Like, I was playing League earlier this year, and I was only playing League, and I dropped Nier Automata, the Nier game that I was kind of playing through, and then I just stopped playing it. And then I got into TFT, and I just dropped League entirely, and then got back into League, and now I'm into Final Fantasy 14, and I'm not playing anything else in the meantime. So, I can only do one thing at a time, apparently. And joining me on this episode is our other co-host, Raymond. What's going on, man?
Man, I don't know. It's more of the same. We're all the way in July now, dude. It's kind of whack.
Yeah, it's halfway over.
But you know me, just going along. Spam some League this weekend. Mostly ARAMs, the new Ultimate Spellbook.
Yeah,
More of
let's
that.
talk about that. Have you played a lot of it?
I'm trying to look. I think I played a few games of it, not like a ton. Maybe like 5 or 6. It's kind of fun. I think there's some matchups or some games you get where you get an ultimate. It's like, oh, this is a sick ultimate. Like that's totally works for me. And then other games, it's like, whatever. It's an ultimate. At least I get to pick the champ I play, and then that's fun.
Yeah, I feel like random game modes or alternate game modes that let you pick your champion are the best. That's why I feel like Poro King was always my favorite just because it's the ARAM map and you pick your champion, so it's the best of both worlds in a weird way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I tried out Ultimate Spellbook on PBE actually 2 weeks ago or something like that, and I
Damn.
thought I thought it was pretty cool and pretty fun. In my opinion, any combination with Nocturne ulti is just broken. Like playing Galio with Nocturne ulti or pretty much anything that you could think of. It's just well, that shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah.
And so I played a few games of it, and it's just oh, that's cool. And I don't think I'll ever play it again, honestly. But it's cool, I guess. I kind of like these kind of story related kind of game modes. Like back in the day, there was a project one where you play only 80 carries, and then there's a Dark Star one where you hook people with Thresh, and then I feel like there's been more stuff like that too, where it's related to an event. I think there was an ARAM one when Gangplank died or something like that,
Yeah, that's
like
way back in the
6 years
day.
ago. Yeah, and then I guess the Odyssey one with I think that was Star Galaxies or Star Guardian stuff.
That was just the Odyssey skins, not Star Guardian.
Oh, Odyssey skin. Yeah, I'm derping so hard, dude. Anyways, yeah, I like these kind of events.
Yeah, no, they're cool. Yeah, this one is I feel like it's one of those that I think it seems like this is like a Dota custom game that I've definitely heard about. Or there's a Dota custom game where you draft just your full kit, like all 4 abilities or something. I think like that. And so this feels like I've heard people talk about it before, and now it's we finally see the classic it's finally shown up in League of Legends, but at least in some form. But it's pretty cool. Yeah, I think like you said, I don't know that I'm gonna play it that much, but I'm down. I'm down to play it if the boys are playing. I get invited. I'll join a game.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. And then last week, patch 11.14 came out. We talked about the preview a little bit, but here's the real thing. And pretty much more of the same. A lot of small changes to a bunch of champions primarily. Um, Anything stand out for you in this patch?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there was too much different from when we talked about the preview. I think the big highlights are the more uh wide changes. I guess I'm trying to think how to say it. The changes to Akali and Dr. Mundo and Aurelia that are and Lilia that are a little bit more than just numbers changes on an ability, where it's changing kind of how the champ plays a little bit more. Those are I think the big ones that we see in this patch. I'm hoping I still yeah I'm still hoping the Akali nurse are like big to her. I don't think that one is one that's like that like clunky removal or like clunky to add in. I think it's probably a good thing that'll make Akali players have to play a little smarter than just spam all their abilities in half a second. Um, the Dr. Mundo one, I feel like this one I think I had noticed in like the previews and stuff where they mentioned him and like you should look at the thread for all the Dr. Mundo changes and I was like, there aren't that many Dr. Mundo changes, right? It can't matter. Um, but I think it'll be interesting to see if he shows up in the jungle a little more with these changes. That's primarily what they focused on is like giving him more healing back on his Q, making sure that he always has like AoE availability with his E to just like knock minions through people in the camps. So I think those will be interesting changes. I feel like he seems strong enough, especially like in pro. I feel like there are there's enough teams picking him just like because he's a valuable tank, like juggernaut kind of guy. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him show up in the jungle a little bit more now.
Yeah, he's been seeing a lot of play in the top lane lately, and so I think teams would like to pick him in the jungle as well, just to serve that purpose on a team comp as like somebody who's tanky, but then also you don't lose pressure from your top laner in that sense. But he is pretty strong right now, so we'll see if these changes impact the pro play in like 2 weeks. And then also of those champions you listed, I agree with you. I don't think the Akali changers are actually that big now that I took a second look at it. And then I dove a bit more into the Irelia changes as well, where they changed the timing on her E, so it's like a little different when you try to E somebody close to you, or like when your two E distances aren't that far apart. They changed the timing on that.
Hmm.
And then they also I also noticed they brought back the magic damage reduction on her W. So that's actually pretty cool as well, because they had taken that away like some time ago. And then they also just for fun put like an extra passive on her ulti out of nowhere, where it like reduces the cooldown of your Q just permanently just by scaling up your R. So I don't know, that just seems like fun, I guess. But other than that, seems like she's gonna be in a good spot, and I think they also changed the damage on her W as well, so you're actually like really incentivized to use it instead of just like hoping you hit a fat ulti into a fat E or something like that.
Right, or trying to use it just for like setting up minions or using it just for a quick passive stack or something. It seems, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel like I've watched a few streamers play Aurelia, and she seems like in an okay spot. Like definitely more people are willing to play her now, from what I've been able to tell.
Hmm.
Have you seen Have you seen any Lilia? I guess you're saying you've been playing Final Fantasy. Have you seen any Lilia in any of your games though? If you've dabbled in League of Legends?
No, I haven't. But have you? I feel like you've got something that you're itching to say.
No, dude. I think when we talked about the preview, I was like, I like Lilia. Like Lilia is super fun for me to play in the jungle. Like, but I haven't played any jungle games to try her out or remember to try her out. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't think I've seen anybody play her like in any of my games or even like in streamer games that I've watched.
Yeah, I feel like if I was more into League, then once upon a time, like a past part of me would have enjoyed Lilia, but I just haven't played much in the last year or
Yeah.
so. So I haven't picked her up or any of the new champions for that matter. I haven't played like I don't think I've played Viego or Gwen at all, which is like kind of weird. Or even Rel. I don't think I've ever touched Rel before, so it's kind of weird.
Yeah, dude.
I was kind of thinking about that too, where like I think I was listening to Summoning Insight and they were talking about how like there are some games that like in 10 years from now, if you try to watch a league game, you're just not gonna know what happens unless somebody still happens to still be playing Lee Sin or something like that. But then like but for like CS:GO for example, if you like in 5 years from now, if you might not know every map, but if two teams happen to play on like Dust 2 or something like that, or like Inferno, like you'll know those maps and you can actually enjoy the gameplay, even though like you haven't touched the game in so long. And so it's kind of crazy that like League is like one of the most popular games, and then like it kind of has this weird thing where like over time it will bleed viewers in a weird way because like the game is just gonna keep changing, and you're not gonna have this the exact same like sense of familiarity. Probably only like 60 or 70% of like familiarity with the state of the game compared to when you played it 10 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, that's kind of true. I feel like I don't know. I think there's probably I guess it depends on the person for sure. I could see. I think somebody there was some joke this last weekend in LCS where I think it was like LeBlanc versus Kassadin in the mid lane, and somebody made some joke of like goddamn, look at all these fucking this mobility creep ruining league. These champs, super mobile, hyper mobile mid laners going nuts in our games. It must be season 11, you know. And it was like LeBlanc and Cassidy doing normal LeBlanc and Cassidy things that they've done for 11 years. Um,
Uh-huh.
but I guess I would think that I don't know. I guess I can't speak for it because I've never been that person who's taken long enough of a break from League that like I don't know what's going on in some way at least. But
Yeah, and
I
it's
feel like
also
I've
just
watched
like,
like Dota. I feel like I've watched Dota before, like at the international or something, and like even then when you don't like know exactly what's going on, I can still get hyped for the games. Like I can still watch kind of like with a little bit of context.
yeah, I think there's also things that you can grab onto just like as visual context, or like if you happen to know about the game, then like every league champion has like QWER.
Right.
They have four abilities and maybe some passives you might have to know or might not have to know. But for example, like I can watch 3 games of set and I'll understand what he does after that without ever
Right.
having to read a skill.
Right.
But maybe something like Aphelios, I would never know that like you don't level up skills with Aphelios. You just pick stats, and I would never know like exactly what the fuck offhand or means and how you use ammo and like the kind of things like that where like those things might not be intuitive to a viewer. And then also just yeah, it's also just champion design where like some champions are just visually easier to learn just by watching,
Right.
and hopefully they'll keep doing more of that sort of thing. But then like another thing like Samira, I might not have ever understood why her ulti one shots people, if like, or even that there were conditions to cast her ulti. If I never like took the time to go read it or try it for myself, like they've there's like things working against League growing over time with these kind of like champion information deficits, or like more like wormholes, I mean, and also just changes to the game over time, whether that be like objective changes or changes to towers or that sort of thing. Well, that doesn't make sense, but yeah, just changes to like the pace of the game and also the champions involved in it, or it's gonna make viewership for older League players who might not play the game anymore or will not play the game 10 years from now. I don't know. This is
Yeah.
like such a side topic.
I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that that's any different? Like, do you think that's ever been different in League though? Like, I get that now it's like what we have like 150 champions or whatever, right? Like you get all that, but like even when like I started in season 3, that was like it was kind of after they had gone through the whack like releasing like 2 champions every week or some shit. Like it had slowed down from then. But even when I started, like I had no idea what the fuck was going on in any of my league games. Like I was just trying to like I remember picking like Kha'Zix in the free week like when I first started, and then like learning Tryndamere, and that champ was like dummy easy, and then I feel like there was already so much stuff in the game then that I had no clue of what was going on, that I'd be like I don't think that there's any difference or like any substantial difference between then when people got into League and now when people get into League. Like it's probably on the same like order of magnitude of complex to a new person, I'd think.
Yeah, I think some things are intuitive. Like for example, if I watch 5 years ago and then I watch now, like I'll figure out what a blast pant does in like one game, or I'll figure out like, oh, that a scuttle is just another camp in the middle. Like that's it. It's nothing special. So yeah, some things are really easy to pick up on. And then I was just thinking of one more thing. And then I don't think there will ever be a game where like 1 or 2 years from now you'll watch a game and you don't know 10 of the champions. I don't think it'll be like that, especially because I believe they have slowed down the pace of champion releases and also like champion reworks. So I don't think there will ever be a time. There might be like a one-off game 3 years from now where like 6 out of the 10 champions you don't know what they do, but
Yeah.
that there are going to be like grapple parts throughout the map of champions who are still being played, probably like Lee Sin and like Leona, Alistar, like those kind of champions will be timeless,
Right.
very likely. So I've definitely over exaggerated, but yeah, it's kind of crazy
Yeah, I
to
get what you
think
mean
of
still.
that. All right, what do you want to talk about? Oh, I do want to talk about the Sentinel skins that will be coming out with this patch.
Oh, true, dude.
I have also tried them out on PBE, and so I'll tell you that the Vayne skin is pretty sick. Although
Go ahead.
Vayne, the problem is that Vayne already has a lot of cool skins, like the Project skin, and she already has like kind of a light theme skin as well with like Arclight. So that's kind of the problem with it, is that Sentinel Vayne looks really cool, but she also has a lot of cool skins, kind of
Okay,
like Ashe.
do you play Vayne a lot? Or like ever?
Moderately, and I have the gemstone skin, unfortunately, so I'm like I have to use that one.
Okay, I also have that skin. I feel like Vayne has like cool, maybe like as a concept skins, but none of her skins are actually like that cool. IMO. Like besides, like I will say that I did buy RP just to get this Vayne skin and the Riven skin, because like honestly just off of the splash arts, but I like this skin more than any other Vayne skin that I have. I think.
Okay, yeah. Does the Sentinel, have you tried it yet? Does it like
Oh
make
yeah,
your
yeah. I've
screen
I've
glow when you ulti or something like that?
yeah, yeah.
I would That's pretty cool. And I think but Project does the same, something similar as well, where like
Yeah, I think the thing for me is that Project Vayne, like I like honestly don't like the mark, like the silver bolts proc on it. Like I think it's honestly just because it's like not a circle. Like I'm like, what the fuck is that? But I
okay.
but I've played I got the Spirit Blossom one too when that came out last year, and that was the Vayne skin that I would play with. Otherwise, I like that one, and then I think this one is like my favorite.
Okay, dang. Yeah, I've also tried the Riven skin. I think that one was pretty cool. And actually, like in a weird way, it made me feel like a better Riven player. I don't know why. And then I think
Animations are
there was one
smoother.
more.
It makes you think you're actually doing cancels and stuff.
Yeah, it lets you auto faster in between skills.
Pay to win.
I think there was one more that I've tried. Let me take a look at the list. Oh no, I think it's just those two that I've tried out on PBE. But I'm totally down for Sentinel Irelia, and I think I've seen the Diana one as well, and that one's really cool. So yeah, I like all of the Sentinel skins except Olaf. I probably wouldn't care.
Yeah, the Olaf one is a little weird. Feels weird that they made that one the charity one, you know? Like they just don't want people to give money to charity.
Yeah,
They know
yeah,
what
I
they're
know,
doing.
right? Or they don't know, maybe.
No, I think they knew. They knew like, oh shit, dude, Vayne, Aurelia, Riven, those skins are gonna sell like fucking hotcakes. We can't make that one the charity one because then we're gonna have to give money away, dude. Make it Olaf. No one's gonna buy Olaf
Oh,
skins.
because that would have to give more.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. I watched TSM Legends this week. I feel like the last couple of weeks of TSM Legends have been pretty interesting. Like maybe the last three, where they've kind of had like a few episodes like where they had like not so great weeks, and I like the like how they've kind of shown those and shown like Bjergsen being like, you guys are kind of fucking trolling, and having like harder conversations with the team than just like, yeah, this week didn't go so great for us, like, but we'll try harder and we'll keep doing our best to pick up some wins next week. It has been any of that stuff, but it's been pretty interesting to see those. And they had a week where they like put the spotlight on Sword Art, and that was nice to see, hear from the new guy.
Yeah, that reminds me that I did watch a interview with Travis Gafford and Spica that was like 30 minutes long, I think. So that one was pretty cool, just to like learn more about Spica and how he got into league, like playing as like a middle schooler, and then like getting into proving grounds and making onto TSM Academy, and then eventually onto the main roster and that sort of thing. And then kind of his role within TSM back then or last year, and then this year, now that he was like the only person from surviving from last year's roster
Right.
and that sort of thing. So yeah, that one was pretty cool as well. And like his aspirations to go play in LPL eventually. And that it also just, I didn't realize that there's so many people on TSM who can speak Mandarin with Sword Art. So there's like Spica, and I knew that Cody's son could do it. He's Academy ADC, but I
Right.
didn't know Lost could speak Mandarin as well. That was new to me.
Oh, I guess I didn't know that either. Yeah, that's
So
cool.
yeah, so I'm glad that like of all the NA teams that Sword Art could have gone to, if he was open to NA teams that like I'm glad he ended up here where like there's a lot of people he could kind of like talk to natively, I suppose.
Right.
And the I believe the TSM management can speak Mandarin as well, and like Peter Zhang and I believe Lena can as well. I'm not too sure.
Yeah. That's cool though. Yeah, that's a good environment for someone to be in. Definitely. Uh, import newcomer.
Yeah, a rookie.
Right. A rookie. An NA rookie.
All right, let's do some picks of the week. I've got one for you.
All right. Bring it on.
No, it's not that cool actually.
Ah, shit.
I'm returning another ARAM pick of the week for you guys.
Whew.
And so another I would consider auto win champ is Kane. Red Kane specifically, I think that one is an auto win because I think that his tankiness, heal, and W knockup are just too good for like constant team fighting in ARAM.
Really?
However,
Go ahead. Elaborate.
yeah, yes, really. However, my true pick of the week is going to be Blue Kane, specifically with Stride Breaker. Even after the slow nerf, it feels really good to do like a full combo with Blue Kane on ARAM after you snowball into somebody and you just like quickly W Q and then cancel your Q with Stride Breaker and then like ulti somebody like really fast. It feels like really, it feels very like satisfying to like kind of get away with it like 80% of the time. And also like most of the time you blow somebody up and then you become untargetable. So it's just very satisfying to like you get to do everything that Kane is supposed to do and like in this short little space. And
Mm-hmm.
also like you can't be stopped. Like once you snowball into somebody, you're pretty much inside of them within like 1 second.
Okay. See,
And
I
so
would
Blue
think.
Kane is a lot more fun, but Red Kane is the auto win. I think.
Yeah, huh. I feel like Kane is like it seems like ARAM would be harder for him. I guess I don't see that many people try and play Kane in ARAM because it's just like, half of like what makes Kane fucking nuts is when he can come from wild angles over walls and catch people out and shit like that. And I would think that like this straight up like you have to just like go through a bunch of people in ARAM would be a lot harder for him to like be what's the word, like to just be as annoying as he usually is in like Summoner's Rift where like he'll just show up on your back line or like he'll be a main focus, like he's always in view like in normal like ARAM situations, I think. But you're the ARAM expert, dude. I'll trust you on these always win picks. I
Yeah,
believe you.
and it's true like that you're pretty much visible or like it's very straightforward what angles Kane is going to come from. But when you snowball from outside of the map,
Yeah,
sometimes it catches people off guard.
that's true.
And
Yeah,
also
I guess. Yeah.
sometimes the shadow or like the light that shows you that Kane is in a wall and like where he would pop out,
Hmm.
sometimes it's not accurate when like you might be the the light might show closer to you, but Kane might be further back. It's not exactly accurate on Howling Abyss for some reason. And
Hmm.
then one more thing I would say is that playing Kane is like it's a little brain dead, but also a little skillful because I have had games where like I had to turbo in 6 or 8 times just to be able to get form, and I used to think that was the right thing to do because I thought it was like in Team Karthus where like basically I just need to get form and once I get form the game's over. It's definitely not like that, and don't do that by the way. I I think I did it a lot of times and I just went unpunished, but I finally did get punished one time where like I just fed like 6 kills and the enemy team was just too strong and ran over my team in like 10 minutes because I did that. So definitely the proper way to do it is just to play smart and try to get your form in as little deaths as possible. And it is possible to get it within 0 deaths and then just get form the first time that you die. I've only managed to do it one time so far. I think my next record is just like 1 death. So it's a little difficult, and like you kind of have to like RNG the enemy team into being melees, and then hopefully you just like you you get away and live every time.
Right.
But it is a little skillful, so don't try this at home. But I would encourage you to do so. So that's my pick of the week.
All right, dude. I'll give you my pick of the week then, and mine. Honestly, mine has just been mine was LCS inspired. I think it was FlyQuest we saw pull out a Blitzcrank this weekend. My pick of the week is Blitzcrank, dude. Honestly, like I think the champ is like so fun when I like it's one of those that like I'm almost afraid to say that the champion is too fun, and that like you should pick it in a lot of games because it's like it's a champ that's definitely like very easy to be incredibly useless, especially if you've like not played him before and then you miss all your hooks. But I think it's actually like so much fun to play. Like just the hook by itself is just like such an impactful ability. You pick it in the right comp where like if you're against like a team that any hook is a guaranteed kill, you're not hooking like a set or a mundo or something into your whole team. Like those are games that feel like just so incredibly good where you can you pull anybody and it's a guaranteed like fat KO, instant team fight win, whatever. It's just super fun. So very impactful, very exciting champ. I like him.
Yeah, I agree. I used to love playing Blitzcrank, especially after they gave him that buff on the range, and I think he's pretty fun to play in ARAM as well. Although I would say he falls off in ARAM really fast,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
like
There'll just be a
insanely
point where like,
fast.
yeah, he falls off really fast sometimes, but he's still a lot of fun to play, and it's always satisfying to pull somebody in. But yeah, you're right. If you don't land a hook, he's extremely useless sometimes.
Dude, he's so hype. He's so hype in competitive games too. Like I feel like when people like because people will only pick him in competitive, like if they're good Blitzcrank players, like when it's like Ignar and Aphromoo and stuff, and then they'll only pick it when they're already good, and also when it's like a super good matchup for them, and then they'll go and pick it against like like against like Caitlyn Karma lanes where it's like super easy to get a hook on both of them, and then they'll you get like super insane like Ignar hooking, like flash hooking Faker and Fog of War, shit like that. Like that's super hype.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that one. Okay, and then with this week of LCS comes another set of roster moves. And not a week goes by without a roster move, dude. I think
Jesus Christ.
the first thing that we could talk about here is good news, I suppose. So Demonte was kicked off of 100 Thieves in favor of Abadage at the start of the split, and now he's finally found a new team in CLG. So we can give him props for that. It's Tanner time. Tanner
It's
time is
Tanner
back,
time,
baby.
baby.
And with that, Pobelter's not going to be the starting mid lane to my understanding. And so I don't know what's going to happen to Pobelter. I don't know if he's going to play Academy, but I'm pretty sure they still have that other guy named
RJS.
RJS.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going to happen with Pobelter for now, if they're still in just playing like substitute games or if he's just on the bench for now. We'll see for that.
Yeah, dude. Pobelter got Bud Light Ace. Didn't you see his tweet? He's out, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. And then and speaking of which, so earlier yesterday, CLG released a video that was sponsored by Bud Light. It's just a quick like 1 minute video of like some sort of like behind the scenes kind of moment with the team, and I watched it just today, and it's very like heavily like you can't miss that it's sponsored by Bud Light. That this is like a sponsored segment, and in that video they were very like awkward. The coach is very awkwardly telling them that
It's
this
the
is
GM. It's the GM.
oh, it's the GM. Okay,
Yeah.
so the general manager, I believe his name is like Tafo Kintz or something like that.
Mhm.
He's very awkwardly telling the CLG players in their backstage room at the LCS studio that they haven't been improving over the course of the summer split, and that they were hopeful after they beat TSM on Friday that maybe they could keep this roster together, but because there hasn't been a lot of progress in the past couple of weeks, that this is pretty much the last time that they're going to play together, and they are going to look forward to making roster changes. And what
Just
I'm gonna
yeah.
pause there. Do you want to say anything about the video? Because I do. I have like a couple things to say actually.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The video is just like it's just such a it's so bad. Like it's such a weird way for them to announce that kind of thing. And I guess I mean, I'm not like a CLG fan. I don't like follow CLG like social medias and stuff like that usually. But like apparently like this segment too, like the Bud Light cooldown thing that they do, like that wasn't like this is the first time they've ever done that. Like this isn't the first video that's ever met that, like hashtag. But this is like every other one is apparently was like just they'd interview a player after the weekend, like after a game, and say, like just like how do you feel about it? How'd the weekend go? Like shit like that. It's just like a quick little like usually like seems like staged interview kind of thing. Like they know what's going on. And then this one is just fucking you talk you pull everybody. It's the tagline of it, the caption of it is like get a behind the scenes look at a private conversation with our team, and it's your GM fucking telling them, yeah, you guys are shit, like too bad you didn't go 3-0, like you're getting you're somebody's getting benched, we're going, this is the last time you five are playing together. That's just so wild. Such a weird way for them to make the announcement, such a weird way for them to tell their own players, like just totally fucking disgusting, honestly.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. Is that the way that well, I think I want to talk about the video. The first of all, the actual video of it taking place is just extremely awkward, and I agree with you that the way that they presented the video is absolutely terrible in a way of like, hey, we had this hidden camera, let's take a look at this private conversation. Like them framing it in that way is just like it's like very wrong. And as kind of like a marketing kind of person or like social media kind of person myself, that's what I kind of work in.
Hmm.
When I see stuff like this, I always think like, how did this get out onto the internet? Like, how
Yeah, who okayed that?
did only one person make this video and only one person approved of it and only one person was just like, hey, fuck it, let's post this. That's I kind of felt the same way a while back when like the TSM guy posted that like, are you winning, son?
Right, yeah,
Kind of
yeah,
meme with like
yeah.
where like
That was bad too.
the stool is kicked over in in that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Where like there's no way if a second person put their eyes on that, they would have like both approved of that. Like
Yeah, but
that's kind of how I felt here.
at least like in that scenario, it's like a quick like post game reaction meme and not like
Right.
a well thought out, like they filmed this. This was a day after the week ended, right? It was like
Yeah.
Monday morning. This was planned by somebody. It wasn't. It was not any kind of like throw this together and get it out there.
Yeah, so you and I are on the same page about that of like I can't believe that like this was agreed upon that we're going to put this kind of content out. And in addition to that, we're going to put our sponsor in it from like top to bottom. You're going to know for sure this is
This is
sponsored by
Bud
Bud
Light.
Light. And however, I will say that after reading about fucking everything about it yesterday and even reading some responses from former players and former people who used to be at CLG,
Hmm.
and then after having watched it today, I don't think the idea was as bad as it was made out to be on the internet. I think that like kind of the I think that what actually happened of like giving a behind the scenes look, I don't think that was so bad. And then I think that the actual footage of them receiving the news, I don't think that's actually that bad as well. Of course, the players are going to look down or look sad when they're receiving any kind of sad news. But I think that one, the presentation was awkward within the actual video. I feel like this segment was planned, whether or not they won any games or one game or zero games at all. I feel
Yeah.
like this. I feel like this, like it was like a scene in a movie where like it's just gonna take place eventually. So like I feel like even though it's planned content, the execution was very poor within the actual content. And then secondly, the presentation of it, where they labeled it as like behind the scenes of a private conversation. Honestly, if they just left that part out, then like
Yeah.
I feel like the reception of it, the public reception of it would have been much better. I think eventually maybe some like big name people would have caught onto it of like, wow, this is disgusting of like them filming these people behind their backs, even though that's totally something they probably sign up for when you sign on to a team of just it's just like being filmed at random
Yeah, I mean,
times.
yeah, I think that part of it, it definitely didn't feel like I guess I never got that impression that it was the players like didn't expect to be filmed, like I assume that CLG probably has, some guy doing that kind of like documentary footage stuff like at all times. I mean, it looked like they did it. It was like at a post game, right? Like they probably always have the camera on during the post game meeting. Like I don't think
Right.
I didn't get the impression that they didn't expect it, but like yeah, I mean, the way they say like it's a inside look at a private conversation. Like definitely a weird way to do it.
Yeah, so I think that in many ways, at every point that they could have fucked up in presenting this content, they did
Right.
do it. However, the internet would have made you think that this content is like absolutely 0 out of 10. I would say after watching it and then after knowing the kind of like caption that they wrote with it, I think there were some elements of it of like this is a decent idea, and I would rate it like 2 or 3 out of 10. But I and it was bad for sure, but I don't think it
Yeah.
was that bad. But it was pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. It was, yeah, definitely it got a lot of, I mean, yeah, just because it had very little going for it, it was it was just, it was bound to get nothing but hate going out of the gates, kind of, just blasted out Monday morning, like just everything wrong with it, everything. I mean, it's even like I think it's like weird to, beyond just like the social media presentation of it. It feels like a weird justification for them deciding to do roster moves too. Like I don't think you're out of the realm of like CLG probably could have used a roster move, like, and I don't think that this changed. Like I think it's probably good for them that they get Demonte. Pobelter looked not that great this year, kind of. He probably had a game or two where he stood out, but um, uh, definitely in summer it's been, just felt bad. And he, like, the games where they won, it's like Pobelter playing Gallia, like that's just the easiest champ to play mid lane probably in competitive, right? So I can see the like GM level, like that seems like a fair decision to make. Like we probably could make moves and figure out a way to at least just make it into playoffs. But I don't think that like that's also something that they presented in the video, is like saying, because we went 1 and 2 this week, like this has to be the end of it. Like you should have an in, or like the deciding factor of when you make that decision of, I want to bench somebody on the team, shouldn't be, okay, we're going into the weekend, if we don't come out 3-0, it's doomed. Like you should know how your team is set up and like feel like you're in a good spot or not, regardless of how the weekend turns out. I would think, like you get a win against TSM, and obviously TSM is coin flippy, whatever. Like I think that's already like a good enough sign that you're at a place to force like those kind of coin flip things, and then you lose to FlyQuest and Dignitas. Like those aren't, like, apparently FlyQuest, that's not like a terrible loss. Like FlyQuest looked really good this weekend. I don't know, that it just seems weird that that would be like the deciding factor, is like, if we don't pull it together this weekend in these stage games, you're out. Like you should know in scrims, you should know in like how the team environment is outside of stage games, whether or not you need to make roster decisions.
Definitely. And I agree that at this point, I feel like any impactful change is welcome. Like we were discussing last week, maybe AD carries are more or less interchangeable, but switching up a mid laner is gonna have ripple effects throughout the team and the team's play style. So I welcome a change to somebody who is also experienced, who has also been to Worlds into Demonte. So I would rather have that than over like another, let's try out this academy player instead. No, I like that they picked up Demonte to be the replacement here and to maybe revitalize the team in some way.
Yeah, I definitely feel like Demonte, especially like, yeah, in a we only have like one round robin left. Like
Right.
let's try to make playoffs and do whatever we can to pray for worlds. Like I think that makes a lot of sense to me, to have Demonte be the kind of guy to come in.
Exactly. And then on that point that you bring up, so it we'll talk about this a little more later, but this is the end of week 6 and they actually have the same record now in the summer split that they had in the spring split. So in spring they went 5-13, and then here in summer they have also gone 5-13 thus far. So they pretty much done the exact same performance, but after having the full roster for the whole split.
Right.
And so it is at this point, it is kind of like no more excuses. We're kind of backs to the wall. We do have to try something new. And
Right.
so a roster change is gonna happen, but the video was shit.
Definitely agree. Definitely agree.
And they can slide into my LinkedIn if they're interested. Okay, and then the last roster move we can have a bit of a talk about is Alfari is back to TL after also another weird video where they promoted a sponsor in a good way. Um, but they're still doing kind of a split time kind of thing where over at TL where I believe Alfari played the Friday game and the Sunday game, but Jenkins played on the Saturday game. So I don't. It looks like they're still splitting time between the two people, but Alfari is playing on the team again. So that's that.
Yeah, I did think that was kind of weird that they still gave Jenkins a game. I don't know that did you hear like anything? I didn't see like any like media around it of like what their final decision was if they had still been splitting scrim time or what. But it seemed
I
kind
don't
of
think I saw
weird.
anything like that either. It was just like, oh, okay, Jenkins is in today.
Yeah. But they won that game still, so I mean it can't be that bad. Still normal TL things, I guess. Whatever. I did like their video though. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, that one was definitely unexpected the way that it turned for sure. I wasn't expecting them to confess anything, but didn't expect that for it to take that turn either.
Right.
And then one last bit of news before we talk about the past weekend of games is that the LCS finals location has been announced, and it's also announced that they're gonna welcome fans in person as well. So you can go ahead and I don't know. Well, I don't know if you can buy tickets now, but there will be tickets available for you to go see the LCS finals in the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, on August 28th and 29th. So that's pretty cool that live events are going to be coming back this August.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm surprised they're going to New Jersey. That felt like a like boo, whatever. But I don't know. I'm not going anyway. What do I care where they're holding the finals?
Yeah, I think I'm actually surprised that they are moving outside of the LCS studio. For some reason, I expected them to have the whole playoffs within the LCS studio again. And I'm a little surprised to see them traveling. And I wonder if all of that stuff is set up for all 10 teams, whether they're ready to travel. I guess it's just the finals that are in a different location. We don't know
Yeah.
about the rest of playoffs, but
Yeah. I
yeah,
figured they'll have the
still
rest of the
interesting.
playoffs in LA still. That's usually how they do it, right? I think it's just finals in whatever arena.
Yeah, probably. I guess I don't think, especially with the new like upper lower bracket format, I don't think there would ever be like a multiple city kind of thing.
Right, just for the playoffs, LCS playoffs.
Yeah, just for like semis or like losers finals or something like that. I guess that would be kind of weird and awkward for the schedule. Okay, let's talk about some LCS Summer Split Week 6, the end of the second round robin. So every team has played every other team twice so far. I could just jump right into the standings for this time. And a lot of our top teams had kind of a weird weekend this time around. In first place, we still have 100 Thieves, who had a 1-2 weekend. That puts them at 14-4 for the summer split and a total of 25 wins, 11 losses. One game behind them is TSM, who also went 1-2. They're at 12-6 now for a total of 24-12. Next up in third place is C9, who also went 1-2, putting them at a tied score of 9-9 for the summer split, with a total of 22-14. So kind of tragic to see them fall from first to third place after having such a great spring split.
Right?
Next up, we have a big tie between. It's a tie. C9 is also tied with TL and Evil Geniuses. We'll start with EG first, who had a second 3-0 weekend in a row, and I believe they're on a huge tear of like an 8-0 winning spree right now.
Yeah, something like that. 7 or 8.
Yeah, something crazy. And so for the summer, they've gone 12-6, which is tied with TSM so far. And so they have a total score of 22-14 along C9. And then TL had a 2-1 weekend, one with Alfari, one win with Alfari, and one win with Jenkins. They've gone 10-8 this summer, and their total is 22-14. Next up in sixth place, we've got Dignitas Quantum Pay. I have to say the full name every time. They've gone one and
Otherwise, it would
two,
be
and
fine.
yeah, exactly. We They're 1-2 this past weekend with a 7-11 record for the summer. That puts them at an equal 18-18 for their total combined score of the year. Next up, we have Immortals, who had a bummer 0-3 weekend in week 6. That puts them at a negative win rate for 8-10 for the summer split. And in total, they're 15-21. Next up, we have FlyQuest, who had a resurgence this week with their academy roster. They went 3-0 out of nowhere. That puts their total summer record at 6-12, and then their overall record at 12-24. I'm sure we'll be talking about them a little bit more in just a second. And then lastly, we have a big tie between CLG and Golden Guardians at the bottom of the standings. at 10 and 26 in total. For CLG, they went 1 and 2 this past weekend, as we discussed, and in the summer split, they are 5 and 13. And then lastly, for Golden Guardians, they had a 2-1 weekend this weekend, actually, with their new top laner, Licorice, who looks very revitalized, actually.
Yeah.
For the summer, they're 7 and 11, so they're doing extremely well compared to their spring split record at this point of the split, and that brings their total to 10 and 26. And so they're finally not in sole possession of last place anymore, and things are gonna get a little interesting in these final 3 weeks.
Let's
Um,
go, Golden Guardians.
yeah, boy, that's is that where you want to start with first? So like Golden Guardians had some pretty tough opponents this weekend actually, and they managed to pull out a couple wins that looked really good actually. And Licorice, he looks like a new man now that he's shifted over to the Golden Guardians. Um, did you catch any of their games this weekend?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think actually if I watched any of these live. I don't know that I think I watched them beat 100 Thieves on Friday. And that was hype. You know, Friday was kind of on its own, just like a like crazy day of upsets. We saw
Right.
like all three top teams like lose in the like first three games of the day between TSMC 900 Thieves. And it was like all to like fucking the shit teams of CLG, FlyQuest, and Golden Guardian. So it was like, what is going on? Or the whole LCS is like in shambles, you know. But yeah, I mean, Golden Guardians was like, yeah, like you said, really good this weekend. We saw Licorice play really well. They had some really interesting drafts. They played like Trundle top. They pulled out the Callista mid flex in one of their games.
Uh huh.
Like all that was just like super cool to see. I thought they played, yeah, I mean, like played really well. Like just like around that, like their new top laner. It was really cool. I'm excited to see if they can make the dash for playoffs. I mean, like you said when we went over the summer rosters or the summer records, they're if it was just summer, they're only 2 games behind C9. Like at this point in the split. So I'm I'll be interested to see if they can keep things up, even with their most recent roster swaps.
Yeah, I was thinking just the other day, like it was funny how I was so hyped up on Golden Guardians after the lock-in tournament, and then their expectations pooped out on me after the spring split. But after this weekend, maybe it's definitely too early to tell. But I'm a little excited about this team again. I want to see where they go by the end of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think yeah, I mean, I think it's cool that even with Iconic like still on the roster, like we talk about, I mean, like obviously Niles had like a really bad split last split. But Iconic being another guy that came straight from collegiate with him. And I think he still has his blunders in the LCS, but he's showing that he can still hang around and be on a team that apparently can compete for playoffs. Is no longer solely in 10th place. So it'll be cool to see if they stick around. And I think the other shout out besides Lickers playing really well is a Blaze Olive. Like he's been trying to carry, I think, as best as he could in their worst weeks, but now that like this weekend being a good showcase for the team as a whole, he got to shine a bit more too.
For sure, for sure. The next team that we can talk about is Immortals. I mean, no, sorry, FlyQuest. Lol. They had a 3-0 weekend with their full academy roster, who apparently their academy roster was actually doing well in academy, to my understanding, from what I've heard.
Yeah, I think
And
they were
yeah, they
first
they
place
looked
in
great this
academy,
weekend.
right? Yeah,
Yeah, I think I heard somebody say that yeah, I think Hanser was talking about it on like Double Lift's co-stream on Friday, where like yeah, the FlyQuest team is actually pretty good. And so I did happen to catch I think their Saturday game where like I saw Triple have like some insane in CS numbers on LeBlanc at like 20 minutes, and they just look really good overall so far in their team play and also as individual players as well. So I'm excited again to see how these two teams do next week, and I think they've already shown up that they can play against some of the tougher teams as well. So I'm looking forward to this kind of like shakeup in week 6 and moving forward. Do you
yeah.
have
I
anything
think.
to say about FlyQuest?
I mean, I think it's like I think it was Emily Rand was talking about it on the analyst desk one of the days this weekend about how they play like kind of LPL esque, where I think they're a lot of rookie, like inexperienced players. I think they know going into it like that they're you know they're still an academy team, like at their heart, right? But they came into the LCS, like their LCS matches, like we're gonna go out and fucking give it our all, go for like fights when we see them, and not play like super scared, super passive. And I think it caught a lot of the teams that they played off guard. And that's, sometimes that's all you need, is to be a little unexpected, a little cheesy, and catch a team that's, somebody like C9 that can easily already coin flip at a scuttle crab fight. And you get them you get a slight advantage, and just keep pushing and pushing and taking these fights and trying to outplay. And then, if it goes on your favor, then you can win the game.
Have any other teams caught your interest from this past weekend?
I mean, I think the only other one, I mean, we have to talk about Evil Geniuses going 3-0-2, I think. Getting another 3-0 week. They're tied for third now. They look like probably the best team in the LCS. If you have, we have to take some, recent form stuff into it, and some historical stuff. If we only go off of the 3-0s this week, they're definitely the better 3-0, I'd think. But I like it, maybe not definitely the better 3-0, just because of like how crazy the FlyQuest story is. But you also have to take away some credit. Like, FlyQuest is still an academy team. Can they stay consistent? But EG is looking really good, and we saw all of the other top teams falter, go like with the 1 and 2 weeks from 100 Thieves, TSM, and C9. Like, those are all not great weeks. So I'm interested to see if EG keeps it up. I remember at the beginning of the season, I think I talked about EG being like, they seem like a good team, and like they can have a high ceiling, but I think they also can have like really low lows, and I don't know if they'll be able to keep up what they've been doing. It seems like they found a really good groove. They've got Jizuke and Impact and Svenskeren, and Danny's playing like out of his mind, being a rookie ADC. I think he's really fun to watch if you have ProView, or if you're just like trying to watch ADC players. I think Danny looks like really cool as just like a like raw talented ADC. But yeah, I mean, they've even got contracts still as a you know f- substitute flex kind of situation in the jungle. It'll be really interesting to see if they keep it up, if they can take like a top two spot going into playoffs, how they fare in best of fives. I'm excited for them.
Yeah, it really does seem like that they have the right pieces and they're finally falling into place for them. I would say that like for sure, Jizuke was hard trolling the first couple weeks of the summer split, but they've really seemed to get into their groove, like you said, these past few weeks, and they've definitely got good pieces around the map, and like in Jizuke, Impact, Svenskeren, Ignar, and then with Danny coming in this split as well, it looks like he's holding up really well, like you said, and he's got some really good kind of bite to him, the same way that Johnson had in his first split as well.
Yeah.
And so I think if there's anything to be concerned about, I'm a little concerned about them still. It seems like they're still on the fence between Svensgaren and contracts, leaning more towards Sven at this time. But contracts does seem to keep like poking his head in and out of the main roster. We'll see if that ends up, if that ever comes to fruition, like you said, in a playoffs game when it's like best of five. Are they going to start the match with Svensgaren, and if things turn bad, are they going to look to contracts to like maybe change things up? We'll see. And then like, how does this always happen to Svensgaren? Where like, how is he always playing with a like somebody beside him kind
I
of
mean,
thing?
it's always contracts behind him, right? Like, is that is that weird, or no? Or
I
no,
think
he had
I
Blabber
think
behind
he
him that
has
one split, right?
yeah, he's
Okay,
done it
okay,
with Blabber, but I think
okay.
he's also maybe done it with contracts as well. Maybe not.
Yeah, I guess
Maybe not. I think it's always been Blabber
maybe
actually.
was always Blabber. Yeah, I don't know. I do think it. I feel like I'd be interested. I wonder if Sven is like feeling like it's weird at all. It seems to me like what goes on in EG is like definitely not whatever the public perception of it is. Like I think even like Jizuke like running it down in LCS games, and like he types in all chat and shit like that. Like, I feel like he even is still like kind of doing that troll shit when they're winning. So like I wouldn't read into that like as like, oh, like I don't think that they probably had any issues where Jizuke was just like not practicing, or he's like doesn't want to be in NA or shit like that. And so I also feel like there's probably not any issues with like how the contract spend like split happens, because it's not like like even though Contracts has done well in their games or in the games that he has played and they've won and he like popped off in that game against TSM and stuff like that, like I don't think he's I don't think that the way EG is put it up at all is that they're like trying to replace Sven. I feel like especially
Right.
whenever I've heard Peter Dunn talk about it, it seems like it's like very much just like this is a strategic card that we can pull out now and we know that Contracts can like live up to it and be that role or whatever. So I wouldn't be too afraid of a permanent sub situation for that. But it does, yeah, I do think that they've found a good groove for the team as a whole.
Yeah, and interestingly, like I said before, this puts their total 2021 year to a total of 22 and 14. So they're tied for third place in the LCS.
Yeah,
It's with the remaining 3 weeks, it's not impossible for them to finish second or even first place with the kind of pace that they're going on. So these last 3 weeks, the final round robin is it's going to be exciting with some of the bottom teams rising up and then some of the one team in the middle of the pack shooting straight through to the top as well, with kind of the top teams seeming to struggle against any team from
right.
the bottom or the top.
Yeah, I mean, hell, if they replayed just like this weekend, I wouldn't be surprised to see Evil Geniuses like tied for first with 100 Thieves. Like 100 Thieves could looked like they could have gone 0-3 this week, and EG like looks like they can go 3-0 any week. So I'll we'll be looking, we'll be watching.
The last thing we can do is maybe look at some matches for next week.
Go at it. Just looking
Yeah,
at it now.
I'm looking at it right now. Next week's games, we've got FlyQuest versus TSM on Friday.
Yeah, honestly, any FlyQuest games. FlyQuest has TSM, EG, and then 100 Thieves. That's a pretty tough lineup.
Yeah, also on Friday is Golden Guardians versus EG. So we've been hyping both of those teams. They're going to
True.
play next week.
And it's the last game of the day. Oh no.
Yes, sir. And then next Saturday has TL versus 100 Thieves. That's going to be a big matchup,
Yeah.
possibly deciding who's going to be in second place at the end of next week.
Yeah, heavy playoff implications.
And then Sunday, it's also TSM versus TL. So TL's got a tough week for them ahead. They have to fight Damonte on Friday, and then 100 Thieves and TSM right after that.
Yeah, true. And then C9 has the toilet bowl lineup of IMT, CLG, and or Golden Guardians. So if they fuck that up, then I'm gonna be worried about C9.
Yeah, they can lose their spot in the top 4 this weekend, or keep it. We'll see. Okay, and that's going to be it for episode 21 of On the Hunt, a League of Legends podcast. I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on the service that you're listening to us on, if you haven't already subscribed. We'd appreciate if you also give us a rating or hit the like button to show us some support. You can find us on YouTube as well as your podcast player of choice, from Apple Podcasts to Spotify and so forth. We'll see you all next week for another episode of On the Hunt.
Golden Guardians hype!